What's up, guys? My name is Corey James, and today I wanted to talk about UFOs, unidentified flying objects, and this intrigue, this infatuation we seem to have with these mysterious objects traveling the skies above. Now, when you say UFO, people automatically go to flying saucers and extraterrestrial beings. That is not the case. UFO simply stands for that, an unidentified flying object. Now, as to what this object actually is, I leave that up for you to decide. I simply want to go through some of these photos and some of these videos that we see over the last 150 years or so that seem to depict strange, mysterious, unidentified objects in the sky that to this day we still don't have definitive answers on. So let's not waste another minute. Let's dive into this mystery and let's get to it. Now, before we can solve the mystery as to what these unidentified objects in the sky are, first we have to understand where does this infatuation come from, this intrigue into what these UFOs are, and really it can be traced back to a single event, and it is the 1947 incident in Roswell, New Mexico, in which a farmer witnessed an airborne object crash into the ranch nearby. Now, on July 8th, 1947, the Roswell Army Airfield, or RAAF, issued a press release stating that the 509th Operations Group had recovered a flying disc. Now, where this story takes a mysterious turn is when just hours later, the commanding general for the Air Force he issued a press release saying that the Air Force had not recovered a flying disc, rather it was a weather balloon. And this is where that infatuation originates. This is the moment we see a UFO conspiracy, a government cover-up in regards to alien and extraterrestrial technology. Sightings of unidentified flying objects date back to the very beginning of human civilization itself. From the Babylonians, the Sumerians, the Egyptians, the Mayans, and so on, all speak of winged discs, fiery chariots, or winged serpents that the gods would use to travel the skies and heavens above. However, when we read these stories and we look at their illustrations, they almost perfectly match what we are seeing in our skies today. But today, we have technology that can produce photographs and videos of these objects in the sky. Now, of course, with that technology, we get a lot of fakes, we get a lot of hoaxes, and we get a lot of CGI creations that in some cases are very well done. That being said, every now and then we come across a piece of evidence that comes with such credibility, the video or photo being authenticated, there are witnesses, we have context as to who, when, where, and it makes this piece of evidence hard to ignore. And it all starts with what some claim to be the first photograph of a UFO ever taken. Photographed from the summit of Mount Washington in New Hampshire in 1870, we see a black rectangular object in the foreground of the mountain, and you have to ask yourself, what the hell could this be? This is 1870. We don't have Photoshop or editing to put this object into the photograph, and the only other way he could get this photograph is if he was to Superman a 2x4 into the mountain itself. Now, of course, as the years go on, technology gets better and more readily available, so we see more and more photos of these unidentified objects in the sky, and it leads to what some claim to be the best photograph ever taken of a flying saucer. 1950, McMinnville, Oregon. Evelyn Trent is on her farm when she sees something in the sky she simply cannot explain. She runs inside to grab her husband, Paul Trent, and he comes outside, he sees this object, and he is baffled by what he sees. So he quickly runs inside, he grabs his camera, and he takes 2 quick photos of this object as it's flying away. Now, when this photograph hit the newspaper, it instantly became a national story, even appearing in Life magazine. And what made this story so credible was that when Kodak themselves examined these 2 photographs, they found them to be 100% authentic, which leads us to ask the question, what could possibly be in our skies in 1950 that would look like this object? Now, of course, when there's only 1 or 2 or even 3 witnesses, it does make the evidence harder to believe. But what happens when we have dozens of witnesses, hundreds, even thousands of them? That is the case with what is known as the first great UFO case in American history, the Lubbock Lights. Taking place less than a year after the McMinnville incident in Lubbock, Texas, between the months of August-September 1951. During this time, residents claimed to see V-shaped formations of 20 to 30 lights flying in the sky, with the first sighting being witnessed by 3 college professors on August 25th, 1951 around 9 p.m. while they were in the backyard of their colleague's house. They witnessed a V-shaped formation of 20 to 30 lights fly above them with no sound, quickly ruling out meteors, and these lights being brighter than any star they could see in the sky. They were baffled by what they had just seen, and even more baffled when a second set of lights flew over them just moments later. And the photographic evidence we have comes just 5 days later on August 30th, 1951, around 10 p.m. Freshman Carl Hart Jr. was lying in his bed when he witnessed these lights fly over his house. He quickly grabs his 35mm Kodak camera, runs to the backyard, hoping to catch a second glimpse of this V-shaped formation. And it is at that moment the second set of lights flies above, and he quickly snaps 5 photographs of these 20 to 30 lights. Carl Hart Jr. had no words and no explanation for what he had just seen. However, apparently, the U.S. Air Force's Project Blue Book did have an answer for it, and it is pretty damn ridiculous. They accredited these sightings to plovers, which is a type of bird that has a white breast. So they claimed that the lights from the houses and the street lights and wherever else were reflecting off of these birds and giving the emission of bright lights in the sky. Now, of course, we know today with leaked information and the Freedom of Information Act, this is the furthest thing from the truth. However, to this day, we still do not have any definitive answers as to what took place during the months of August and September 1951 in Lubbock, Texas. Now, when you have a UFO sighting that has dozens of witnesses, the credibility goes up pretty considerably. Now, if you have an incident in which there are thousands of witnesses, well, then it becomes pretty damn hard to ignore, and that is the case with the 1952 incident in Washington, D.C., otherwise known as the Washington Flap. From July 12th until July 29th, 1952, in Washington, D.C., a series of unidentified lights were spotted flying the skies above Washington, D.C. What makes this case so intriguing is that it was not only civilians that saw these lights. Pilots and airport traffic control also witnessed these lights, and if that wasn't enough, the White House itself actually issued a shoot-down order in regards to these lights. So that pretty much says these lights are being seen, they are unknown, so much so that the White House is willing to shoot first, ask questions later. Now, this next mass UFO sighting is probably one of the most well-known infamous incidents in UFO history, and it is the 1942 Battle of Los Angeles incident, in which 1,500 artillery rounds were shot at an object flying the skies above Southern California. Now, residents and witnesses, as to which there were hundreds of thousands, claimed that they saw a flying saucer. However, the excuse that was given was that it was a blimp. But when you look at these photos and you watch the video, we can see artillery rounds exploding near and around and next to this object, but none of them can bring them down. And ladies and gentlemen, I don't know if you've ever seen a blimp, but if you shoot anything anywhere near it and it explodes, that blimp is going down. So again, it begs to ask the question, what the hell are we seeing here? And again, to this day, we still do not have any answers as to what took place on the night of February 26th, 1942 in downtown Los Angeles.
Anti-aircraft guns went into action against unidentified aircraft in the Los Angeles area shortly after 3 a.m. Pacific wartime this morning. The anti-aircraft guns began barking during a blackout ordered by the 4th Interceptor Command at 2:25 a.m. The unidentified object, which some sources thought might be a blimp, moved slowly down the Pacific coast from Santa Monica and disappeared south of Long Beach. Army officials declined to comment on the possibility that the object might have been a blimp. However, it required nearly 30 minutes to travel some 25 miles, far slower than an airplane. Watchers on the rooftop of the Columbia Broadcasting Building in the heart of Hollywood could plainly see the flashes of guns and searchlights sweeping the skies in a wide arc along the coastal area.
Now, the final mass UFO sighting I wanted to look at is definitely one of the most infamous UFO incidents ever, but this one comes with video evidence, and it is, you guessed it, the 1997 Phoenix Lights. On March 13th, 1997, witnesses from 3 different states all reported seeing the exact same thing, a V-shaped formation of bright shining lights. Now this occurred over Nevada, Arizona, and the Mexican state of Sonoma. Yet the US government gives us the explanation that these were flares being dropped by military planes during a training operation. Are you kidding me? People were able to see flares being dropped out of a military plane over 3 states. I'm sorry, but it just does not make sense. So if we can eliminate that possibility, what else does it leave? Now we come to probably my favorite UFO incident, with probably some of the best video evidence you can find in regards to extraterrestrial technology and extraterrestrial life, possibly, taking place between 2007 and 2009 over the Sea of Marmara in Turkey. This object was witnessed by dozens of local residents, filmed by numerous film crews, and each one of the videos, especially the one you're looking at right now, were all proven to be 100% authentic. Now, when you watch this video and you look at this craft that we see in this video, I swear it looks like we can see alien beings in this UFO itself. And it is a trippy video, and I would really love to know what you guys think.
Aynısı var. Gir şuna. Allah Allah. Nedir bu böyle ya?
Now, what makes a UFO sighting credible is everything I've just listed. Witnesses, authentic photos or videos, context as to when, where, who, but what makes a video even more credible than any of that put together is that when it comes from our own US government or the governments of other countries. And that is the case with these next two videos that come from a recently exposed top secret Department of Defense program that existed solely to investigate UFOs. The Aerospace Threat Identification Program, otherwise known as ATIP, ran from 2007 until 2012, and it was during this time the US government was not only investigating these UFO sightings, but they were assessing a threat level that these UFOs could possibly pose to America and the world as a whole. Now, in these videos, we see F-18 Super Hornet fighter jets and their pilots tracking these UFOs, and they are blown away by what they are seeing. They have no answers, and that is what makes it so intriguing. These are F-18 fighter pilots. They are trained to identify anything in the sky, and they are privy to some of the most top secret technologies we have. So if they cannot identify this, what could it possibly be?
Echo 6-1 Tango Project, over.
Oh, got it! Woohoo!
Roger, there's troubleshooting as soon as I
Did you talk smoking card? No, I took an auto card. Oh, okay.
Now, of course, this is an answer we will probably never ever get until something like Independence Day takes place. But until that time, we still have to speculate. We still have to investigate, because some of the evidence that we have for UFOs, extraterrestrial life, it is beyond enough to prove that, you know what? Human society, human beings, we are not the only life in this massive universe we see. But again, these are just my thoughts. These are just my opinions. They don't really matter. What matters is what you think. I simply want to present the facts and the evidence to you. And now that I have done this, that is going to be a wrap on this video. I really hope you guys enjoyed watching it. And if you did, please hit that like button. Please hit that subscribe button and tell your friends about me. Keep coming back for more. Once again, guys, thank you so much. My name is Corey James. I'll see you on the next one.